Hello, and welcome to another watch review from Watch It All About. This time we're looking at the Alpha Radomir Chronograph homage. It's a homage to the Panerai PAM 158, where only 10 were made. So it is quite an unusual watch to pick, but it looks great and it's got very unique styling. And the fact that there are only 10 of them, it's very unlikely for you to actually be able to buy one of the originals. So this is a good alternative. So I bought this from eBay from an online store specialising in homage watches. It was about £120. So we'll see if it's worth the money, really. Personally, I think it is. We'll look into it in greater detail, but the basic specs are that it's a hand-wind mechanical chronograph, which at this price is brilliant. And also it has a sapphire crystal, a very nice domed sapphire crystal, and the dial has some nice texture and finishing to it as well. And it has quite a unique shaped case as well. So all of these things for the price, it is really impressive. So if I take it off now, we can have a look at it in closer detail. Okay, so we'll start at the top. So let me focus it. So you'll see that it does have a very highly domed sapphire crystal, which does mean that visibility is somewhat reduced at certain angles, but that doesn't really bother me. The fact that it's sapphire crystal at this price and the size of it is really really impressive. If I tap it as well, it doesn't sound like it's a thin crystal either. It sounds quite thick, so it really is impressive at this price. It doesn't have any anti-reflective coating present on it, so that's a shame. But you know, you're not really going to expect too much at this price, are you? So looking at the dial itself, you notice we have a tachymeter around the rehaut. It's a very deep dial as well. You'll see from the side how far this top bezel protrudes in order to necessitate the depth of the dial. We'll be able to look at it closer later on when I put the macro lens on. But the dial itself is a sandwich dial. So the hour markers, all these hour markers and the 12, and also the sub dials, they're all on like a lower level to the actual dial itself. So that gives it nice extra depth as well. The sub dials, you can't see it now, but they have like a concentric circular pattern within them, which again adds to a nice bit of depth. The hands are all stainless steel. Everything on the watch is polished, so all the hands are polished stainless steel as well, which gives a nice reflection when you catch the light just right. You can sort of see it there. And the big hands aren't a particularly unusual shape, but the subdial hands are quite unusual shapes. Again, quite a good feature at this price to have something so unusual like that. There is an applied A logo for Alpha just at the 12. Let me just adjust the time so we can see that a bit better. You see it's implied. It's a nice little touch at this price. The A does look a little bit cheap, but again, at this price, you can't really complain. So that's the dial. We'll be able to look at that closer when I get the macro lens out. And you'll also notice there's a minute track going around, which is a nice touch as well. It looks good. And the colour is a deep black, and it's very matte, but it hasn't got any texture to it. It's a very flat dial. So let's move on to the case. The case is a great shape. Some people may get put off by the case to the face ratio. The face does look a little bit small in comparison to the case because of these big oversized shoulders, but that's just the styling of the watch that it's based on, the PAM. It's good that it's such a unique uniquely shaped case for the price. It really is quite something. It's machined very well as well. The finish, the polishing finish is all very good as well. Pretty flawless actually, which I was quite surprised by. There's no sharp corners or anything anywhere, and again the shape of it is very very good considering the price. So let's move on to the lugs on the case. Rather than just having two lugs protruding and then a pin between them, they have these again unique style lugs where it's an L like so, and then you unscrew these screws here which pulls it out, and then you can change your strap that way. So there they are on either side. Again, quite a unique feature, and for this price it's really good. The pusher and the pushers and the crown again are nice little touches. So it's a push-pull crown, so just pull it out like so, then you can change the time. Just push it back in, and when it's pushed in, that's when you can wind it. So if I wind it, you can see the movement doing its thing, winding up just here. And the pushers, this one up here is nice, has a nice touch. It doesn't seem to do anything. I initially thought it was a screw lock, but it isn't actually. So if I push the top one, it will start the chronograph, and then if I press stop, press the bottom one to reset it. So in fact I'll keep that running from now on, and then I'll show you how good the reset is at the end of the video. Okay, so the case back has a transparent mineral crystal in it. It's an exhibition case back to show off the amazing movement, a Sea-Gull 1901. The etching around the outside is pretty light. Laser etching is nothing special about it, but to be honest, you don't really look at the etching around it when you have this beautiful movement staring you in the face. It's really stunning. It's quite something. Try and get a decent angle on it. So yeah, it's a lovely movement to behold. Okay, so the strap, nothing special about the strap. It's a classic Chinese leather, really poor quality leather really. Feels cheap and nasty in the hand, and it doesn't really bend and mould to the wrist very well. The only thing I do like about it is the white stitching along the edges. Looks quite nice and matches the style of the watch well. The buckle is all polished like the rest of the watch, and it has this very very lightly laser etched in Alpha logo, and this has quite a bit of wobble play in it. So I would recommend replacing the strap for a nice big thick nice leather strap. So yeah, that's my thoughts on it. Okay, so the movement, the Sea-Gull 1901, it runs at 21.6 thousand beats per hour, so that equates to 6 ticks a second. The left hand subdial is the running seconds. That's a 24-hour indicator, and that's your chronograph minutes. It's just a 30-minute chronograph, and then the big second hands is your chronograph running seconds hand. So that's how that works. You do have to push the pushers in quite hard to start and stop and reset it, but that's just something that comes naturally with a mechanical chronograph. Anyway, when you're winding it and when you're pulling the crown out to adjust the time, it does feel really good and sturdy in the hand. Actually, it feels like a really good high quality movement, and it just looks great as well. So okay, let me get the macro lens on, and we shall have a closer look at the case and the movement. And the dial as well, of course. Okay, so let's start at the dial. Just get that bit of fluff off. Okay, so start with the bits which are sandwiched. It's quite impressive the accuracy that they have punched these holes out of the dial. Actually, the 12 looks particularly good, and these hour markers as well, looking very good. There are a couple of tiny flaws. You can see here that there's a slight bit of fluff on that hour marker. And there's a couple of other tiny flaws on the subdials as well. You can see one there. But at this price, again, I suppose you can't really expect them to be absolutely perfect. See the subdials, a nice concentric circular pattern on them as well. All of the printing on the dial is really good, actually. See the Alpha and the applied A logo, and the hands as well are quite well machined. Polished stainless steel there. Here's the printing for the tachymeter. Again, the printing is pretty good on it. So I do like these subdial hands. They're a very unique shape, and they're very well made as well. So yeah, it's all looking good. Okay, so let's move on to some bits of the case. So we'll have a look at the pushers and the crown. If I pull the crown out, actually I bet the chronograph is running, so I better not pull it out just in case. And here's the bottom pusher, the lugs, and the screw which holds the lugs in. My hair's in there. Okay, so let's have a look at the movement now. Just wipe this case back. Here you go, it's all moving around nicely. Looking good. The movement itself does look very high quality, and there's no grease or finger marks or anything like that within it. So for this price, it is really astounding, really, that they've got a movement like this for £120. Really impressive, and it is a lovely movement. Okay, so let's just take that off. I'll just put it on. The watch itself is 42.5mm wide, so it's a fairly big watch. It does demand a lot of wrist presence as well, and it looks great on the wrist. So finally, actually, let me just reset the chronograph. So I'll stop it there, and then I'll just do a reset. There we go. Really quick to reset. It's a really great high quality movement. So there we go. Okay, so for £120, it's really good. I highly recommend it if you're after a cheap mechanical chronograph. Then you either have this or the other Alpha to choose from, which is the Paul Newman Daytona homage. They're both great looking watches, but this one I decided to go for instead of the Paul Newman, because it has a sapphire crystal, which at this price again is a brilliant spec. So okay, so that concludes our review, and that's what it's all about.